Hello, and this is Shabari, and welcome to my live chat. And today's guest is the Carol Fraser, and Carol is a member of my London vegan business network, and I met her a few years ago at a staff wellbeing event at the Immigration and Asylum Tribunals in Feltham, which is in Middlesex. And I was there with my tropic stall, and Carol had a food stall there. And so her famous quinoa burgers, which she made, were really popular, even amongst the meat eaters that were there. And we've done several stalls together at events, at other events as well, like for example the Try Vegan event at Middlesex University on World Vegan Day that year. And again, Carol's famous quinoa burgers had just sort of gone in a flash. And in fact, it was really popular amongst the both the staff and also the students that were there. And last year, in fact, it was this time last year, I went along to Carol's natural skincare making workshop for eczema sufferers. And it was really interesting, actually, seeing and learning all about the sort of raw ingredients that Carol uses for her homemade products. And so Carol's previous career was in PA office management and in the NHS mental health sector in administration management. And but however, that was all sort of set to change, as she had to focus on her daughter's well-being, and alongside she took on carer responsibilities for her housebound mother. So Carol then embarked on a healthier lifestyle and holistic approach, purely from finding solutions for helping her daughter's mental well-being. And she, in fact, herself became ill through stress, but she was able to eliminate the problem by changing her eating habits and veering more towards an alkaline whole foods diet. And so Carol also trained to grow organic food on a farm, and took further studies in nutrition, food as medicine, clinical aromatherapy and naturopathic medicine. And her aim is to promote a holistic lifestyle approach to encourage healthier eating habits, sustainability, and also the use of nature's resources to promote and maintain vitality and well-being, as well as managing eczema successfully using her handmade plant-based skincare solutions. So a bit later on as well, Carol will be giving us a demo on Irish sea moss, which is an important ingredient in her skincare solution. So she'll also be talking about the benefits of Irish sea moss as well. And so you'll get to hear all about Carol's story, her lifestyle, her career and business, and also her opinion on BLM and how it has impacted her. And so if you have any questions, if you could put them in the comments section, and Carol will answer them towards the end. So now I'm just going to bring on Carol, and so she will be with with us in a few minutes. So yeah, in the meantime, if you do have any questions, yes, please do put them in the in the comment section, and then, as I mentioned, Carol will answer them in a while. So I'm just bringing on Carol. Hi, Carol. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How's your day been?
Oh, very well, chilled. Because I've just had such a busy week, and today slowed down a little bit, so I got to do a little bit of reading. Yeah, it's been a pleasant day.
Oh, fantastic. And I know that you were up till sort of quite late last night, getting your customer orders
Oh,
finished. And yeah, did you manage to complete that? And then, was it collected on time?
yes, I did manage to do it. There was a time where I say, oh well, I'll do it in the morning, and it was just got, as I'm packing, more orders are coming in. So,
Yeah.
I've learnt that lesson now. Get it done the night before, even if it kills you. And the next day's, because I kind of set the bar a bit high for myself, because I like to give good customer service. And for UK customers, they get theirs next day if they order before 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, if that order comes in, even if it's like a minute to one, I'm going to get that out. So yeah. So I make sure I'm prepared the night before now.
Oh yes, fantastic. Yeah, so right, so if you could tell us, my viewers, a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Yeah, sure. As you know, my name's Carol Fraser, and my background really has been largely in administration, site support management in the NHS. And I found myself on a remarkable journey, albeit through harrowing circumstances. But today, I am a plant-based nutritionist and clinical aromatherapist and a naturopathic practitioner. But there's a bit of a story that goes in between there. So whenever you're ready for me to sort of give a brief overview of it, I will do.
Yeah, and sort of between all that, you mentioned that you were head chef as well for a nursery for a short while last year as well.
Yes, I was. I was for a year, and that was a wonderful experience. I was headhunted by a local nursery, and it was literally less than 10 minutes walk from my door.
Mm.
And I hadn't even fathomed taking on any other role, because I was focused on my business. And I was thinking, oh no, I don't really want to do that. I just want to focus on what I'm doing. I don't need to do it. But then, they really, really needed somebody, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a year.
Yeah.
And it was lovely cooking for 50 preschool children from I think it was 6 months upwards. And
Yeah.
it was mainly that there was a lot of allergies, a hell of a lot of
Mm.
allergies. So when I came in, it was kind of a godsend that they had this allergy chef who could come in and do alternatives for those children. And some of them were
Mm.
very bizarre allergies as well. So I would like
Mm.
the children to have, more or less the same foods. And
Mm.
it got some taking used to. And as you know, I'm vegan, you're
Yeah.
vegan, we're vegan. And there was some resistance. Because you can imagine there would be,
Yes.
you
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
very concerned parents about protein,
Mm. Mm.
calcium. But they had their AGM coming up very shortly after I started, and they gave me the opportunity to do a talk. and that
Oh,
allayed a lot of
fantastic.
fears. I had some questions, and the children, and they would come up to me, the diehards, and say, "She's eating more here than she's at home now." So, and they would say, "Oh, I want to stay for lunch," and that was great. And this, is such a great turn, I think, for veganism. I'm so excited about it. I mean, the opportunity to be in a preschool cooking plant-based dishes,
Yeah.
and wow, well, it was a great. I loved it, and I loved every moment of it.
Fantastic. I mean, we before I added you on here, I gave a short introduction to my viewers, and I mentioned that we did a number of events together, and we first met actually at the Immigration and Asylum Tribunal's sort of healthy staff day event, staff wellbeing day. And that's when we first met. And your quinoa, your famous quinoa burgers, I mentioned about that in a flash. And then again later on that year, we did the Try Vegan event at Middlesex University. Yes, and that was on World Vegan Day, which is on every.
My
Um,
gosh, Shabari, your memory is amazing, because I didn't even remember that one.
yes.
And we also met at the Health and Wellbeing Day, week, Healthy Wellbeing Week, with the Imperial College.
Oh, right. Yes.
We
Yeah.
went to the different hospitals in West London.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so it was great actually to have the opportunity to have a table, to give information about veganism, and at a couple of those events, I had my tropic stall, but then with the ones with the hospitals, I was there helping a friend of ours, Amrit Blackburn, and you were there with
Oh, yes.
your
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh. Well, then we would have been working quite close together, because Amrit, I got the contact through Amrit, and
Yes,
I was volunteering, helping her. So
yeah,
maybe we were doing different shifts, but I know
yeah,
that our paths crossed.
yeah. So we did a few of those actually. I'm trying to think if I did one last year. I know I did one a few the year before. Um, and yeah, there was sort of like several hospitals that are connected with each other,
That's right.
and yeah. So
It's the West London Mental Health. West London Mental Health. It's the they used to call it Lakeside Trust, but it's the West
mm,
London hospitals.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was another one which I did with Amrit. Again, I think it was a couple of years ago, and that was the Western Eye Hospital.
I
Um,
didn't do that one.
yeah. So it's really great that hospitals, schools, and other establishments are actually
Mm.
taking this on board and inviting people like us to go in,
Yeah.
talk about veganism, and in your case, giving food samples, for the staff, and then also like handing out leaflets as well, so that people can take them away to read at home. So it's really good
Well,
that
I was quite fortunate to do a talk at the tribunal services, and I
yeah,
also the immigration and asylum um,
yeah,
tribunal. And
yeah,
I also at Middlesex University, and
yes, yeah, I remember, yeah.
yeah, and I actually had an email where I did for 2 years, 2 years running with TFL,
All
where they
right.
had, yeah,
Oh,
and they have a healthy well-being day at their headquarters, Peninsula Way,
oh
in
wow.
North Greenwich. And
Oh,
I did a talk there, and yeah, gave information and also samples of what I was doing at that time.
Oh,
I really, this is why, we were having a good old chat about it last night, and I was
fantastic.
sort of
We
like
were.
harking back to those days. And, I don't get to do that contact stuff now. Well, not certainly won't be doing it in COVID time, but,
Yeah.
I miss that contact, Shabari. It's
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
having an online business, as you know,
Mm, mm,
what you're doing, and which is similar to what I'm doing. But
mm,
the actual going out and meeting and talking to people,
mm,
whilst I do phone consultations, or I'll do like talk to people online on my groups, it's not the
mm,
same as
mm,
having contact. I love that. I want to go back to
mm.
summer. If I can find the time to do it, I would like to schedule it in my diary to at least do a couple a year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, now you're really busy with your with your homemade natural skincare brand. We'll come to talk about that a little bit later. But for the past few weeks, there's been widespread awareness of BLM on the news and on the social media. So I wanted to ask you, what does BLM mean to you?
Well, very simply put, um, BLM means to me that whilst all lives matter, I mean, absolutely, we know this. Unfortunately, in societies, um, Black lives haven't mattered um, as much, and we've been saying this for a very long time.
Mm,
So it's
mm,
not felt heard, and you know, the situations where you might feel somebody might think that you're just being oversensitive, or you've just had a bad day. Maybe you thought that happened, or you know. But yeah, just put in a nutshell, all lives matter. It's just that in reality, they
mm,
don't, and those are Black
mm,
lives.
mm. Yeah. And have you or any of your family been on the receiving end of any kind of oppression or discrimination of being Black? And also, how has it been for you career-wise? At any point in your career, did you feel that you had to work harder than everyone else, because of racial discrimination?
I'll answer the last question first, and I'll tell you about any experiences where we've been affected. Um, when I was working for corporate firms, and I was also, I'll give you this incident for instance. Um, I was an office manager at a mental health trust at a West London hospital. I won't say the name of the hospital because it's not a reflection of the hospital
Mm,
at
mm,
all. It's just an example. Um, and it's happened more than once. But this one I remember more vividly because there was a team that I was managing, and they were an admin team of women.
mm,
And yeah, I did. I got a lot of opposition and disagreements where there needed to have been disagreements, and not a lot of cooperation as a team to to to, to support them and support me to support them, if you know what I mean. There wasn't, so in
mm,
meetings there was a always gripes, or people just didn't talk. They absolutely just didn't engage. And
mm,
I would have
mm,
to prompt for anybody who wanted to bring something forward, had an opinion on anything. Um, yeah, and it was very, very, very uncomfortable at times. Um, and I had experienced it before in other roles. Um, but because there was a kind of pattern and the way I felt, I knew it wasn't just me, you know. And so that's experience at work. Um, in terms of our family, well, our family were deeply affected. My daughter's 21 years old,
Mm.
and she's the reason behind Carol's Organic Kitchen. So at the age of 11, when she first started secondary school, it was a school that I'd actually mentored at a few years before she was born. And it was one of the options that came up. And we took the school, and my daughter had experienced racial bullying. Now, the school took it as low-level bullying, and it got out of control. Um, she had things that were paper thrown at her. She didn't know who was doing it. She would walk through the halls and she'd get walloped in the back of the head, and she wouldn't know who did it, shoved. Um, she, on one morning, was walking through the halls and she had her skirt ripped down. Um, and they branded her a lesbian. So then everybody was too scared to go near her, apart from one friend who stuck with her and helped her and supported her. But why I say racial bullying is because they would make reference to her, you know, her big rubbery lips and her monkey ears and her bug eyes, um, and her size of her nose. And it did, of course, your first experience. Some people can have a very wonderful experience, in secondary for their secondary school experience, and some can have a harrowing experience. My daughter had a harrowing experience, and when she lost her friends, she had got, I had actually complained and I'd spoken to the teachers, but nobody was really taking me seriously about it. And as I said, they deemed it low level bullying. She did ask to come home one day and said, I think I need my mum. And she was told, go back to class, you'll feel better later. And when it got to a complaint stage where people were listening after getting an MP involved, um, all of that was denied. No, she never spoke to me, or she never spoke to me. But what had happened is one day I received a phone call from the head teacher, who sounded very concerned on the phone, to say
Mm.
that I needed to come to the school to pick up Christina. She didn't seem very well. And I said, well, what's happening? What's wrong? I said, you sound really concerned. She said, well, she's not making much sense. And I said, why? She said, I don't think you need to worry about that too much. I think you need to just come down. There's nothing to worry about, but you need to come and pick up your daughter. And when I got there, it was the end of school day. I literally had to come from near Heathrow, down to West London. And I got there in about 40 minutes, and my daughter was on her own in the reception. I think there might have been a caretaker in the background somewhere. No sign of the head teacher, and I hadn't realised at that point that my daughter had a mental breakdown, and she was experiencing a psychotic episode.
Oh my God.
So I tried to speak to her and say, Christina, where's the teachers? Where's the head, your head, and why are you sitting here on your own? And she was saying things that didn't make sense to me, but it hadn't registered that my daughter's had a breakdown. And also the fact that there was nobody else around, and I was told it wasn't serious. I hadn't clicked that there's something fundamentally wrong. I mean, really wrong here. But it was when we got I struggled to get her through the door, and I'm saying, Christina, let's go home. And she was standing there saying odd things that I then realised, what is happening to what happened to my daughter? She's not right. Anyway,
Mm.
she had spent 6 months in a children's psychiatric unit, catatonic. And I tried to open an investigation through a complaint, and nothing was opening up. I wasn't even getting the head had even stopped responding to my emails, which was, and at that time, Christina was at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. They didn't, they were trying to sort of manage her before they referred her to somewhere where she could get specialist help. And in the meantime, I'm trying to get hold of the school and tell them what's going on. She's never available on the phone, so I sent an email, not getting a response. I got Andy Slaughter involved. I mean, I think I got maybe one little response which said, we understand that it's time Christina cannot return, keep us updated. Sort of thing. And I thought, no, that's not good enough. I then contacted Andy Slaughter, who got involved and sent a letter and opened up an investigation for the children to be interviewed. And I was told some of the parents would not allow there were 8 girls, the parents were not letting them go to see the head for an interview. And I was then told that some of the girls, there wasn't enough evidence. The girls are not saying anything about who did what, and they haven't seen anything.
So
Closed case.
they all stuck together. They all had probably the same story, and they didn't want to tell on each other. So yeah, it was obviously very, very difficult to be able to get proof unless one of the girls actually confessed.
Something. But they knew about my complaint and Christina's complaint and her having gone to teachers, but then nobody knew which teachers that, it wasn't me. So then there's no, but that closed case was not a closed case for me, and it's not the first battle I've had to have for my daughter. Second battle came when it came to finding out, getting organic investigations done, which eventually happened, and I'd gone through a lot to get that. But with the case with bullying, I asked for it to be brought to the Board of Governors, and they gave me this very fat pamphlet of, I just looked at it and it was just words on a page, and I was flicking through it and just skimming it. But I got to the bit, I just wanted to get to the bit where it's, what are you going to do? And it basically finished with not enough evidence. So yeah, and then whatever they said, which was that basically it won't be going any, they can't do anything more for me. And I thought, what? For me and my daughter, there was never any checking on how my daughter was doing, any apology. Of course, an apology would admit liability, so of course she wasn't going to get that. No empathy at all. It was just probably just wanted to just get rid of it, because I even got a child advocate involved as well, from North Westminster, and she was pretty good. They didn't even have a proper bullying policy. It was so old, a piece of paper which said very little on it. And they, schools need to have an anti-bullying policy, and that policy needs to be live, not just a bit of paper stuck in a file for years and forgotten about. And they need to have anti-bullying events. And I know when my daughter moved on to a new school, eventually when everything went well and moved her out of the area, we had to go all the way to Richmond. She did an assembly. It was really brilliant. She asked if she could do this assembly for a mental health week, sorry. And she got some people involved, and a young boy, I say boy at the time, they were young teenagers. He was seen as really one of the cool guys in the school that all the girls swooned over, and he came forward and he did a poem. And I remember sitting in the audience and thinking, oh my goodness, I was going to do this poem. I'm really looking forward to it. And it broke our hearts. He talked about his mother with depression in the poem. And there was a young boy in the audience who was crying. So you don't know what people are going through. And I think it's important because a lot of the bullying does start in school, and it has a profound effect. My daughter's not the first. I was told in confidence by a member of staff at where she was admitted, this children's unit, that she's not the first child from that school. Ooh, that that was mind blowing. That
Mm,
you this has happened again.
mm,
You know, what would they do? Something has to be done, and they hadn't learnt the lessons from the first time.
mm, mm,
So my journey from then, from I was working in the city after the NHS, and ironically, at that time when Christina had a breakdown, I was working for a company in Farringdon, and it was a pharmaceutical US company. So I've come a long way from that angle to the holistic side, and I quit my job
mm,
in the city to support my daughter while she was going through this, and then beyond, working part time, taking lower paid jobs, doing a little bit of admin here and there, sort of junior admin work, just to be close to where
mm,
she was schooling, and if I had to break away and I could get home, I, pick her up or meet her at home, and, cook together, have fun with her. And that really helped build her self-esteem, and it brought me on a journey where I am in the holistic health world, because when my daughter was in that unit, within the first week, I think it was 3 days later, they wanted to put her on something called risperidone, which happened to be a drug that we were basically um, distributing around Europe. And I got a little bit of advice, and from a senior person at work who I was supporting, and doing my own research. And I said, no, can we have a look at organic investigations? Because this is a serious drug. It's not something you can go on now and it fixes you and you'll be okay. It's an
mm,
antidepressant, which is there for many other kind of mental health disorders. And this is something that hadn't affected her. I knew what had happened to her, but they did tell me she had an acute stress reaction, and
mm,
that was the cause of the psychotic episode. And I pushed and pushed when she came out that I want my daughter to have tests to see what was going on. It was a hard battle. I actually had to. It was hard to do it, but I had to get rid of the consultant that um, she was under in the community to get it moved on. He was. Ugh, he did lie to me and say that he put a referral through, and it never happened. But anyway, once she had a scan, a CAT scan. She had a what do you call it? Oh God, they put these little electrodes on your head. I can't remember what they call
oh,
them.
is it ECG?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
ECG treatments.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
right. And then
yeah.
they came up with the lumbar puncture, which was one of the hardest things for her. It's the most uncomfortable thing to go through. And they didn't get the needle in the right place the first time. Ooh, so it was hard seeing your child really in pain, and then saying
Oh gosh.
my leg hurt, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, but we're only going to do this one more time. Okay, we're going to get it, please. And they found through the lumbar puncture that when she had this acute stress reaction, the chemical hit her brain, traveled up the spine and hit her brain, and caused
Mm.
her to have a psychotic episode. So
Oh god.
it was the acuteness of the stress which produced this chemical which hit the brain. And I remember sitting in the room with this young consultant or doctor, and I said to him, "Can I see the results? Because we wanted to know what was going on with Christine." And he produced this scientific looking sheet, and I was sort of
Mm.
reading through it, um, and I said, and I could, I was just sort of reading how they took. And I got to a bit where I just saw the words anti-GAD jumped out at me, because he mentioned about it being a chemical imbalance and the whole, you know, chemical coming up the spine and hitting the brain. So I said, well, what is this chemical? He did not know. So I'm reading through the sheet and I said, what is anti-GAD? And he said that I could arrange for an appointment to see, you know, the consultant who's heading the team to explain it to me more. And I waited and I waited. I'm still waiting. And I did my own research and found out that anti-GAD is actually connected or linked to diabetes. Now, while she wasn't diabetic, she produced a lot of this chemical, so much so that it hit her brain. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, she's young, so her hormones changing, chemical imbalances in chemical imbalance in the body being linked to anti-GAD, which was linked to diabetes. I thought immediately of diet. And I got really radical. I thought, right, I need to have someone to help me to transform my garden into, you know, a food growing plots where I can grow my own. I was serious. And I'm not eating anything. We're getting rid of we've got rid of the microwave.
Oh, wow.
And of course that didn't happen. I mean, I was at that point thinking I need to actually start thinking about how I'm going to get finance into the house, because my savings had run out. And of course I had to quit that job. And when my daughter was doing much better, I've actually found through, I just think it's from sheer determination and wanting something so badly that I came across a farm near the River Lee, which is now probably, I think, an 18-acre farm. It was a 12-acre farm at the time. And they had a system where you could go and volunteer, and I did. Off I went, off I trotted, you know, with my big wax jacket and my hunters, getting on the train, thinking, oh, I used to get on the train to go to, you know, to go to the office. And now look at me. And I started going once a week and twice a week. And you could volunteer to cook there as well, which was great. It was all vegan food, and it was a plant-based farm, fruit and vegetable farm.
Yeah.
Days of my life. I loved it, and I met so many remarkable people who taught me so much, Shabari. There were therapists and holistic consultants and naturopathic doctors, and you know, I just looked up to them, and we'd be, you know, they would talk amongst themselves and to me, and I was being educated. And at the time, I was overweight, I was obese, I had a huge internal growth, all from the stress of what was going on. And I was also the primary carer for my mother, who's housebound, and I was pleading with adult services for help because I had to support my daughter. She was in hospital. I needed to, you know, be there and see other consultants and meetings, but somebody needed to support my mum, and that happened. Eventually they did an emergency assessment, but I went on to, I learned so much from them, and I escaped a operation from changing my whole diet and eating plant-based, and I felt so much better. I lost a lot of weight, and I've been on the farm as well. Learned this new skill. I went on to take the studies and got my horticultural organic food growing certificate. Loved it. Loved every moment of it. And I still have my skills. It's like riding a bike, don't forget.
You never forget.
You never forget. I've got a tomato plants and all sorts of things are always growing in this house. And I've got my aloe garden. I've got my red grapevines. I've got my bay tree. I've got everything going in the garden almost. And I think now I'm definitely going to keep pushing that message about growing your own. And I think people are listening. We've got a food service in the area, and I'm giving away seeds and little pots so people can grow tomatoes or radishes or, you know, courgette. And I always envisage, and I do believe it will happen, where I want to roll out a growing program for people and you don't even have to have a big spot to do it in your local area. We will do it in backyards, you know, and that's was one of my first visions. But I went on to doing workshops. I got a small amount of funding. I was pushed, and I'm like, why would anybody want a workshop from me? What do I know? But people would say, it's just what you say. You seem to know a lot. And I thought I've learnt a lot through research and understanding what happened to my daughter, then knowing what was going on with me and understanding what my mother needed to keep well. And I went on to study nutrition, and I was volunteering in my area by that time, once I was qualified, and supporting other people in my local area to grow. And I was on food growing voluntary project for Ravenscourt Glass Houses, which is an organic project there, and Phoenix Farm, which is part of Phoenix School in West London. And I was talking to people there, and they said, do you do workshops? Do you do talks? No, me. You know, we'd just get into discussions, and they would say things to me, and I thought, well, have you spoken to your doctor about this or that? And a lady in the community heard about me at the White City Community Centre, Emma Morgan, who was the manager at that time, and she encouraged me to go for a small pot of funding. I took weeks deciding about why, what would I do, and I put something together. Then I went to see her. She said, "Do it. It's absolutely brilliant. I think you should do it." And I got the full funding. It's £1,200. You don't pay yourself. You just run the workshops. And I used every single penny to run a 12-week workshop for an hour and a half every Friday. And I paid a Zumba lady, a Zumba instructor, to do the physical activity while I talk about food and nutrition. I wasn't a nutritionist then, but I was studying very hard and researching, and I, on Instagram, people saw me as the vegan cook lady, the vegan chef lady, and from there I was doing, like, the voluntary fairs, as you know, health and wellbeing days here and there in London, and continued to do my own workshops on cooking and nutrition, on foods that heal and disease prevention. And I think there was one at Hampstead Women's Group, and they were a group of cancer patients. I think that was one of the most rewarding workshops I ever did.
Fantastic. So, you mentioned that you run your own business, Carol's Organic Kitchen, and can you sort of tell us a bit more, about that, to our viewers?
So, from running workshops on food and nutrition, which people loved, I had to get bigger and bigger venues. It was like having a great night with the ladies, on a Thursday evening when people would come through the doors, and we would literally have a banquet. It was so nice, and it was lovely having those workshops running. I was doing those in Holland Park for a couple of years, and then I wasn't able to get that venue because I had that spot for so long. It's a community venue and other people want that spot. So when it kind of broke up a few weeks, the momentum went, but people were saying, we still need you. We want you to come back and do workshops. So I opened up my home, spoke to the local council, and they said, well, you're not selling alcohol and whatever. Anyway, got the right permissions. I spoke to them and opened up my home as the very first come dine with Vegs. I don't know if you saw that, because I know you've been following what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And at Shabari, it was great. It was like having the girls round to dinner. So I do a demo in my kitchen on the cooking, the nutrition, and then serve it to them with the Prosecco, a 3-course meal, and then they get the menu, the plans and the recipes. And I did that for quite some time before the nursery role came up, and I was enjoying it, these lovely dinner parties, and the topics around the table, and the different the diversity of the table politically as well. You know, it was great. And
so the people that came on, were they not necessarily vegan, but you know, wanted to
no, very
yeah.
little of them, if any of them, were vegan. And
Mm,
there was a couple of ladies who've been following me a couple of years, and they changed their diet around and went vegan. And they've been recruiting ever since. You know, they've learned so much about their own health. They share a lot with others. They came, but that was probably a couple of them, and they brought other people, and other people brought other people, but they were not vegans. And I was booked up, gosh, every weekend with people waiting for the next table. And I had vegetarians, yeah, I had
mm,
quite a few vegetarians come, and they were just so surprised at the quality of the food,
mm,
and what you could actually do with beans and you
yeah.
know, other things, and quinoa, and you know,
Mm,
I know that there are some vegans that are opposed to mock meats, but what
mm,
I do is I help to transition people,
mm,
and I try to introduce them to foods that they can get accustomed to. And
mm,
a little later on down the line, they eat less and less of the mock meats. But I'm hand make mine with
mm,
natural. I'm a whole foods plant-based nutritionist, and
mm.
I stick to whole
I
foods.
mentioned about your famous quinoa burgers earlier.
Mm.
Mm,
That's right. I know. I was on those keema burgers for a while. They went down great when we were doing the health and well-being days. They really did.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, and then the nursery came up, and then after the the year at the nursery, COVID happened, didn't it? Wow, COVID.
Yes.
We're here now, and
Mm. Crazy
so we
year.
had the lockdown. I've been able to focus. At the time, in October last year, I had launched my skincare, and the main product was something called is called Dermazine, and that was a
Mm,
cream that I made at a time when Christina, my daughter, who suffered the
mm,
mental breakdown, was suffering really badly with eczema. And during that time, when she was going through that period, her mental state, it
mm,
flared so badly. It was
mm, mm.
angry, and we went away to the south of
Stress
France,
actually
and we
causes
struggled.
eczema. You
Yeah,
know,
eczema.
it is stress that causes a lot of you know, these skin conditions like eczema. And
Mm,
you know, when I went to your skincare natural skincare workshop last year, I learned a lot about, you know, the different sort of raw ingredients that you were using as well. And it was interesting that you I remember actually I bought some of your homemade soap that was specifically for eczema, because my sister suffers from eczema.
mm,
And I wanted to buy some for her. And it was really good actually. Yeah, yeah. I
good.
really liked your soaps. And yeah. And you I remember actually tasting some moringa. You brought some moringa.
Yes, the seeds,
Yeah, the
and you
moringa.
chew them.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit of an acquired taste.
It becomes intensely sweet when you take a sip of water,
Yeah,
and it gets sweeter. You think, oh, that, because everybody was like, that's not so bad actually. It's actually quite nice, got a sweet little sweet taste to it. Then as soon as you take a sip of water, it becomes intensely sweet. But the trick
yeah.
is to actually just swoosh it around your mouth like a glass of wine, and then. But yeah, I kept that secret to myself. Everybody was like, oh, it's so sweet. So drinking more water. So naughty. But it's moringa's. I mean, if you do your research, moringa's a natural multivitamin. And
Yeah. Oh yeah,
yes,
I mean,
I've
we use
launched
moringa
my
in
product
our
online.
facial oil. So yeah, I know that moringa has lots of great properties. You know, vitamin E is anti-aging. And yeah, I'm not sure about eating it. I mean, as I said, to me it was a bit of an acquired
You can drink it as a tea. But the
yeah.
most remarkable thing about moringa is, sorry, I'm going into lecture mode, but just quickly, The most remarkable is its minerals. It's got a
Mm,
plethora of vitamins, but look at the minerals: iron, magnesium, zinc,
mm,
copper. These are all, what we have in the brain, copper. So we need those are the, and this is an Ayurvedic uh,
mm,
medicine, isn't it?
yeah,
Moringa. They
mm,
in Asia they use it um, even topically. Oh no, and actually, sorry, moringa exists from well in ancient times, but it's a very Ayurvedic type of
mm,
thing that people use. But in Africa, they have moringa trees where
mm.
they've existed
Oh,
from, and you can have everything: the root, the leaf, the bark. This is why it's called a
mm.
moringa tree.
Mm. Do you still do your teas? Because I remember when I came round to your workshop that you had made your own tea blends. Do you still do those?
I
Yeah.
do. I hand make my teas. I sell them online. I sell two of them, just because it would be hell to try and produce all of my different ranges. But I'm going to sort of introduce them bit by bit as I get a little bit bigger. Then somebody else can do the tea bags. Um, but yeah, I've got two, and one is sorrel, which is extremely high in vitamin C. It's very good for boosting the immune system, good for
Mm,
inflammation. And there is, amongst other things, and I've blogged on those, that sorrel tea, and also my nettle, clove, and cinnamon blend, which is like a hug in a mug,
mm,
according to consumers, happy consumers. And I love it. It's very comforting. It's lovely. It's got a nice sweetness to it. And
mm,
the nettle has all the minerals the body needs. Nettle is underrated, but it is an amazing herb. And with other properties, boosting it with the cinnamon and the clove, which is good for the blood. It's extremely, it's lovely. Even though I say so myself. But because I put out what works for me and my family, you
mm,
see, and then my extended family and my friends. And this is how my products kind of caught on, and I was encouraged to just, sell it online. My good, you should be doing that. And
mm,
I'm still going to get my quinoa burgers in Sainsbury's. But
yeah.
Sainsbury's, if you're watching, yeah, I've got the two teas there. So I'm hand making those, hand making my creams, and I make my own eucalyptus oil from a tree.
You'll you make your own. So
Eucalyptus oil,
so
eucalyptus
oh,
oil.
eucalyptus oil.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
fantastic.
I discovered something amazing about it. The so I have a video on the product page for eucalyptus oil. You'll see a video of a woman's story called Shandia, who was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. If you go to that story, you'll hear what she had to say about it. And remarkably, it helps my father with his sciatica,
Oh,
and my elderly neighbour who told me about her sciatica, she says it works for her too, and it's a nerve pain. So I know it's an analgesic, but it works
mm.
wonders.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, so we use eucalyptus in our smoothing cleanser, and it just smells so divine. So that's one of your new products, is it? The eucalyptus oil?
It came out with the dermazine, which is my
Oh,
daughter's cream. Really,
yeah.
you call it Chrissy, but dermazine, and I had the eucalyptus oil then. When I was doing the launch in October, the eucalyptus oil was there. Shandia's story was on the big screen
Oh,
talking about the eucalyptus oil. So that's been there, with us, from since I've been making it for a few years. And then I just, people encouraged me to bring it to the fore, as it were, and it's
mm,
now online, but it's been there from the beginning. Yeah, very much
oh,
so. But I focus on eczema.
yeah.
I talk about skincare nutrition now. I mean, I'm niching into eczema, which I've been, well, from time Christina was suffering and I was looking for solutions. I,
Mm,
I, I started digging deeper and deeper, learning a lot more, and did introduction to dermatology, and
oh,
I
yeah.
focus on people with inflammatory skin conditions. So I have dermazine, which it's, deep hydrating. Frankincense helps to repair the skin, damaged skin, and lavender's antibacterial in nature, and
Mm,
coconut is antifungal as well as antibacterial, and the shea is a protector on the skin. So that combination with the right formula, and it took a while to get that
mm,
um, product safety approved, only
mm,
because you have to have the right formulations, of course,
mm,
and it's natural. I don't know, tends to be a bit more difficult to push through. And
mm.
but eventually, and then after
Not
further
using
testing with the oil,
preservatives, so they probably do lots of want quite
they can
rigorous
they send it
testing.
away to the lab, and yeah,
Mm,
you tell them what the formulations are going to be, and they would do an analysis. But yeah,
mm, mm.
so finally, it's here amongst other things, and the soap, which I don't hand make. That's African black soap, which is
All right.
handmade in West Africa, and I get the authentic Ghanaian African black soap.
Which was the
It's
soap
great.
that I bought from you? It was kind of not an actual soap, but where you sort of pinch a little bit, and then it sort of foams up.
Very foamy. That's the cocoa potash. That was
Oh,
African black soap.
oh
And it's
right.
not drying on the skin. It's amazing. It's great. It
Yeah,
deep cleanses without drying out. You put it on your
yeah,
face and you think, oh, do I need any moisturizer?
yeah.
It is lovely. It's great for eczema prone skin.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
it's
love
worked
the
really well for
product.
my daughter. And yeah, the dermazine even got rid of her dark spots where she
Oh
was
really?
scratched so terribly. We thought that she'd be scarred for a while, but it actually
Mm.
helped rid of it.
And last year as well, when I came, you showed me some Irish sea moss as well, which you use as an ingredient, and I was really impressed because I'd never seen anything like that before. Have you got a demo that you can show us?
I have. I hope that I'd be able to. Can you see this table? Right.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Good, because I got ready to be here to show you. Did we put it on our face?
Yes, because you created yes, you did, because it was kind of like jelly, and
Mm,
I did actually when you made it, because I think you showed us the raw ingredient, but then you also made some product, and it looked like jelly, and then
that's right.
I put it all over my face. Well, we all did. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show you what it actually. I've got two types. There's so many different varieties of sea moss, and sea moss is a sea algae. It's natural sea algae. It
Mm,
contains 92 of our body's 92 of the 102 minerals that are contained in our own body,
mm,
including iodine, which is great for brain health. And
yeah.
this amazing sea algae is from a Chondrus crispus variety
Mm.
of algae we call sea moss, otherwise known as Irish sea moss. I don't know if you can even see that.
Yeah, yeah. If you put it just slightly more in the middle,
In the
yeah,
middle.
yeah, yes,
It's
yeah.
got a bit of a vein on it. It
Mm,
looks type of rubbery. Now, this is one particular type of sea moss. I'm sea moss mad. I'm like a sea moss connoisseur here. I've been taking sea moss for so long, and I get so many different varieties. I'm like a sea moss geek. Oh, I like that one, purple, and then I have I don't know if you can see it in the bag, but I'm going to take it out. This is the Irish sea moss. The
yeah,
first one I showed you has had a thicker vein. This is slightly different. It depends on the region and the climate, believe it or not, even though it's in seawater. So this is Irish sea moss. I don't know if you can see that at all.
if you put it slightly more in the middle, yeah, yeah. Oh wow, it looks a little bit corally actually.
It
Yeah.
does, and it's been dehydrated. It looks corally, whereas that one, I actually had that one soaking in water, but even out of water, although it's covered in salt, but it's still very pliable and rubbery. And
Mm,
there are two different ways to prepare sea moss, and
mm,
I couldn't practically show you whilst we're talking, but I'll just talk through it. So you could the thicker veiny type of sea moss, you can literally wash it, soak it overnight, and blend it in the water, and it will form into, and I'm going to show you, it will form into this gel. It's almost solidified. Now, can you see that?
Yes, yes, that was what I
And
tried on my face.
on your face. There you
work.
go. Look at that.
Yes.
Like
Oh wow.
jelly on a plate.
Yeah.
Right. I've actually got, that actually smells so good. I've got rose oil, and I infused it in rose water, and it's another product that I put on my website.
We've just had a question in. Yes, they've said, wow, never seen sea moss before. Does it grow everywhere in the world?
It grows in any deep sea water anywhere in the world, and no sea moss is more superior than the other. The only difference is that you will find them in different hues: purple, brown, beige, white, and they all contain the 92 minerals that our bodies need. They get their colours from the deep, the coral in the deep sea, so you can get this lovely purple one, which I order from time to time. I haven't been able to get it since COVID because shipping has stopped in some countries. But I have heaps and heaps of Irish sea moss, which I love. The one I showed you with the thick gel, that was one variety. And then you have something like this, which is the Irish sea moss. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah. That's very viscousy.
You know, that and that can go into soups and smoothies, and a thickener for gravies. I have used the gel to make wraps rather than use. I use spelt flour. You can use any type of flour, but I've used spelt flour for various reasons, and I add a pinch of salt and my sea moss gel, no water, and mix into a dough, and I will do a wrap or chapati or roti like wrap, whatever you want to call it. We call it roti in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Flatbread, and you would just,
funnily enough, we use the same word. Roti is like a flatbread, and yeah, so we actually also use the same word, but the Bengali pronunciation is ruti. So yeah, that's how we pronounce it.
All different things.
Yeah,
and it comes out, the wrap, when you put it on the hot pan, you can just brush it with a little oil or no oil at all. And you put it on the pan after you've rolled it out into your circle, and it will puff up, and you turn it over, and you get the dark spots like you see naan bread. And the remarkable thing about it is it stays pliable. You can wrap it, you can bend it, it doesn't break. Like if you just did flour and water, it would just snap. It's nice and pliable, and you can just put them in between greaseproof paper, cover it with your tea towel, and you can have them for the next 3-4 days. But sea moss can be used in on your skin as well, as you know, Shabari. And I've got that on my website. Is 92 mineral facial sea gel, and you just put it on and allow it to dry, and you can feel it, can't you? Can you remember how it felt on your skin when it was drying?
Oh yes, I mean, like I just felt that, you know, when I applied it onto my skin, I just felt like you know, as though it was adding moisture to my skin, and I didn't feel that I kind of needed anything else. I think, you know, just using the sea moss moisturizer, you know, just made my skin feel really, really moisturized, and it didn't dry out or anything like that.
It was like feeling, it was like an airbrush. It's like somebody airbrushed you. And you can leave the thin layer on,
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can rinse it off after about 10 to 20 minutes,
Mm,
and your
mm.
skin just looks amazing because of all
Yeah,
those
I
wonderful
felt my face was so
skin.
smooth as well. You know, yeah, it just felt really smooth and nice and
Mm,
plump. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it can be used internally and externally. And I remember a few years ago on my Carol Fraser Facebook page, I
Mm,
put up a video. I did one in COVID time, just in I think in March or April, where I put the sea moss on sea moss gel on my face and went
mm.
on camera. And I thought people must have thought I was absolutely mad. But it caught on. People are doing it, and yeah, they're buying it, and they or you can get the raw sea moss yourself and do it. Do it at home. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm having fun with my products.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And it's
definitely.
literally from Carol's. People might find Carol's Organic Kitchen very confusing because Carol's Organic Kitchen sounds like a restaurant, right? Um, and
It's actually
I
in
started
your
off with food and
kitchen.
nutrition,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
nutrition is still there. I don't, though that fundamentally diet is key.
Mm,
There isn't a magic cream. It will help with the symptoms, but it's diet that's fundamental at the end of the day. So diet is still there, but everything was born
mm.
from Carol's Organic Kitchen, everything. So even
Wow.
the skincare and the food, you look on Instagram and see, scroll
Mm,
through, you see all my dishes. So yeah,
mm.
everything apart from the growing. Well, I do grow in the kitchen. I've got a few things on the windowsill, but yeah, all the magic happens in Carol's Organic Kitchen. But I've now got my own little workshop as well, which I'm doing up at the moment.
Ah, fantastic. And so, how has it been like for you, sort of during lockdown? And what do you do to relax?
Well, I decided that I was going to have a completely different experience to what most people were going through. I thought, I'm not going to fear. I'm going to take this opportunity to double down and learn some stuff and do even more research because that's my thing. I love it. And I finished off some of my study. I finished off my clinical aromatherapy studies.
Ah,
I finished off my naturopathic studies, and I thought, right, what next? So I got stuck into marketing because marketing isn't my thing. I've got somebody who does my marketing, but I want to learn. I need to understand. You need to know about the
mm,
crux of your business, and that is part of it. It's not something that you have to do. It's something you should do and understand. And I learned a lot about marketing and sales, and I read lots of books. In fact, I want to show you one book that I want to recommend that everybody should read
oh, yeah.
by Martin Meredith, The State of Africa. Can you see that book?
Yes, yeah. Martin and Meredith, The State of Africa.
Yeah. So that's a nice big book that I read again. I wanted the opportunity to read it again, and I got that. I read through that, and so I relax. I read. I listen to podcasts. I educate myself because I love learning. I love researching. Even today, I was scribbling down the different because I do little videos as well on health
Mm,
and information. So what I've done through the COVID time is do a series of videos on stay well tips and information, and I've been posting those out regularly, as well as engaging with my eczema support group on Facebook as well, supporting them there, sharing information, and that's part of my relaxation as well. It's what I love to do, and I've been doing a lot more of it since the lock-in. So lock-in, it feels like a pub lock-in for me, not for everybody else probably. Get me out! But yeah, it's a lot better now, isn't it? We can actually have, what is it, 10 people in our circle? But
Um, I'm. Oh, has it gone up to 10 people? Because I thought it was 6. Maybe it's gone up to 10 now.
oh, maybe. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't had 10 people around. No, not me. No, I haven't. I haven't. I've been a bit of a recluse. I still have my mother that I care for. She's got good help now with the carers coming in, and
Yeah.
I can't express how grateful I am to them,
Mm.
um, and all those carers out there that do a fantastic job, that have gone out there and kept this service going, looking after. A lot people depend on it. I mean, my mother's housebound, like a lot of older people who don't have that support, and of course they had to be. She's not in a home, so she has to have people go to her, but
Mm.
she didn't have a family, of course. So those carers, God
Mm.
bless them, they kept her well. My mother,
Mm.
pre-COVID, was extremely ill. 3 weeks before COVID, she ended up in hospital. We thought we were going to lose her.
Oh gosh.
And she had that tube, where she couldn't breathe properly. She was very, very weak. My mum was diagnosed with myeloma, so we thought this is going to finish her off. But somehow she got through it, and but her doctor, told us that my mother had 2 months to live, and that was end of February, early March.
Oh gosh.
And I remember being in the school kitchen, the nursery kitchen, and getting this news on the phone. And I said to her, "What did you say?" And she repeated, and I said, why am I being told this on the phone? Well, we thought that you would have had the result. We didn't know she was ill because she had myeloma. We just thought that she contracted some sort of infection. But with the myeloma, we thought, oh my goodness, we're going to lose her earlier. But she survived. And
Right, yeah.
I thought, right, that is it now. I'd done it before, and I did it again, where I just got hold of her diet, spoke to the doctor about it as well, about it being a plant-based diet. And she said, that's absolutely right, because your mother's producing an abnormal amount of protein, and phytonutrients are going to break down better in the body, which I knew, but I wanted to sound it out with her and get her approval as well, because you want to know that you're doing the right thing as well. And listen, my mum, oh, Shabari, please don't get upset. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm so used to talking about these situations, but I've learned what it's been like to be in on your lowest ebb, and
Mm.
I never want to go back down there again.
Yeah.
And I think the more I share the story, the more, I think it helps as well, talking
Yeah.
about things and
Yeah.
looking back, because I feel like I've gone through the worst period of my life when my daughter. So anything
Mm.
else, you kind of build up a resistance, you deal with it. And
Mm.
she's doing so much better on a vegan diet. My mum,
Mm.
I've got a video here, I wish I could play you, plastered with hummus is her new love. This 82-year-old Jamaican woman who loved her fried fish and oxtail and goat curry, or curry goat as we call it, and heavy in rices and yams, and she's gone to eating my vegan dishes now. So, and hummus she loves it, and she has two avocados a day. She loves her avocado. She's like me, avocado
Oh, yeah.
man.
I love
Who's got to have
avocado.
avocado on the side? But
Yeah. I could just
yeah,
live on
and my brother's been a
things.
star. He's moved down to London. He got kind of trapped in the COVID with her, because he was in limbo between West Sussex and London. And he's been taking on her cooking as well, whilst we're distant. And he has gone vegan. Let me tell you, it's great. He said, whatever mum's eating, I'm having it as well. He had high blood pressure. He's overweight at the moment. I'm doing a diet plan for him. I'm putting him on a detox,
Yeah.
and he'll be, fighting fit, because my mum's lost weight. She's glowing. Her skin is amazing. Scream
Yeah.
really loves her. And I just thank God she's doing well. And Christina never had a relapse, worrying throughout the whole COVID period, what was going to happen, or thank God. I couldn't imagine her being in hospital going through that and not being able to be there with her.
Mm,
Would have been a
mm,
nightmare. So
yeah.
both of them, thankfully, they're fine. They're doing really well.
Oh, that's good. No, that's
Yeah.
that's really
And my business has
fantastic.
been good too. I've been blessed. I feel like I've just been, I don't know, I feel truly blessed. You know, people have bought the product and then come back a second and third time, fourth time. And
Mm.
I'm just one guy who's bought four times already. He's ready to come back for a fifth and says, "Can you make me a body scrub?" And I was like, "I can." Yeah, why not? Well, that's something on my list that I'm going to launch out eventually. I've just got
Yeah,
other things that I need to sort of focus on that are on the website now. But it's
yeah.
gone really well, and I'm very, very happy and grateful that people have trusted in my product and they've given me marvelous reviews as well, feedback, which I never expected. So I'm really,
Yeah.
really happy.
Oh, fantastic! And you can also if anyone wants to get hold of you as well, you can put your details as well in the comments section. So
Hmm.
just final two questions.
Hmm.
Do you find that that you kind of have had to do a lot of research to find out which sort of makeup brands are out there, because many just don't cater for dark skin. I mean, I think unfortunately a lot of companies out there, it's almost as though it's kind of like an afterthought, and they don't cater for darker skin until people complain to them. Have
Yeah.
you kind of
Well,
have you found
um, uh, growing up as a Black British woman, there was never anything out there for me. But I look back on the pictures of me and my friends, and those are of darker skinned like me. We look like ghosts when we put on foundation because the shades were way too light. And
that?
we just wanted to grow up wearing makeup and, looking like clowns. So there was very, very little out there for me growing. Those were my makeup days. Those are the days I wanted to, put on my makeup and look good. But no, I'm 52, and back in the
You don't
80s, I
you
couldn't
don't look it
find
at all.
anything Shabari.
Mm,
Um, I had to make do. Sometimes I would mix them,
mm,
or I would find you'd find a little bespoke, maybe Afro-Caribbean store that might sell something like Mary Kay
mm,
or Fashion Fair, which was expensive. But now, and then further along, into my 20s, 30s, 40s, my I was I never had really a one go-to. I had to pick here and there. And I remember getting used to something. Was it? Oh, anyway, there was one foundation I got used to. It discontinued. So then I went to buy. It was quite an expensive brand, and I can't remember the name of it now. But one of these top brands, and I was finally found the one. And
mm.
can you believe it? After 6 months, what happened? Stopped it. I was
Oh,
like, oh, gutted.
yeah.
Well, you know what? I think as well, what with Christina's skin improving and me using it as well as a natural body butter,
Mm,
um, I just wore less and less of makeup. I got so fed up to the
mm,
point that my skin was so good in the way I was looking for sea moss and my cream and developing other things. But it's mainly just the cream and the sea moss and the black soap.
mm,
I love my skin. I love my skin now, and people compliment me on my skin. I'm not ashamed to say I actually now have good skin. I never, I used to hide it under makeup, and I used to have acne. Um, but now, I actually even forgot to do my eyebrows
yeah.
before I came on camera. But that's how relaxed I am about makeup. I never used to be able to leave the house without makeup. But no, I think I'd still be struggling, even though there are a little bit more choices now, though, aren't there, Shabari?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, originally, with the brand that I'm a distributor of, Tropic, they relaunched last year. They relaunched the skincare, and originally they didn't actually have anything for darker complexions, but because we, you know, we told the company about that, and we said, well, you know, you do need to cater for darker complexions. And so now they've brought out BB creams, mineral foundations, and even they've brought out the Illuma concealer as well for darker complexions. And so, you know, through us campaigning, they've actually done that. So yes, we actually do have a range for darker complexions, and I do think that you know, the more of us that do that with other companies as well, you know, that they will listen, you know.
I'm just surprised it's not a thing. I mean, it shouldn't it be? We're living side by side here. Come on, you can't just live out one skin condition. You know,
we shouldn't have to campaign. Exactly, I agree. We shouldn't have to campaign. We shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't have to be an afterthought for the companies. You know, they should, you know, be
a whole different customer base. Can you know? Why do you not care? Why would you not care about, you know, that whole customer base there as well? You know.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
It's a $1 billion industry, but you can be $1 trillion industry. But not when I'm around, because I tell you what, I'll be encouraging people to make their own and look after their skin.
Absolutely.
From the inside out. Good at that business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I'll do also is I will share in the comments section some of the you know, the darker complexioned models as well. And
I'm really interested in the fact that you're vegan and you're natural. And that appealed to me greatly. And now I know, well, you have it. Can you just send me a link then to your, do you have do you have a shop?
Yes, I have I do have a shop. It's www.lovetropic.info. I'll send that to you, and also I'll put it in the comment section as well. And
around, because it's been a while since I bought anything that I applied to my face. You know, my own color or whatever. But I look at the lipsticks, and I would use a brow pen, or what was it, a pencil, or
we actually have brow products. One is a brow it's called a brow pomade. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's like a sort of a wax for your brows, which you put across, and it really defines your brows, so you don't need to, you know, you don't actually need to pluck your eyebrows or anything like that. And the other one is a powder one, and you use a brush to then just apply onto your brow hairs. And again, it looks very natural, because a lot of people, they use pencil. Well, what they do actually, and I've seen this a lot when I was out and about, obviously before COVID, and I would see people, you know, say if I was sitting on a train or on a bus, that people had plucked all their eyebrows off and then used a pencil instead, and I would just be sort of looking at them.
Lying is too harsh, isn't it? I know, it's funny.
Yes, and I would just be looking at them, and then when they would look up, I would sort of I wasn't looking. But it's just so like
I can imagine. I remember seeing one lady on the train on my way to work, and it looked like she just freshly plucked her brows. It must have, because obviously it was still swollen, and then she's drawn the line, and so it looked like she had a kind of like, we're knocking women now.
No, we couldn't do this. We shouldn't be doing
it. You know, it's all in jest. But yeah, we've all learned our lessons, isn't it, with makeup anyway. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do use a brow brush, which my daughter got me,
Oh yeah.
and I would love to have a mascara.
We do have a
For a
natural
long time since I
mascara.
wore mascara.
Yeah, we do. In fact, we do brown, a dark brown mascara and a black mascara, but also a lash extension kit where you use the mascara first of all, and then you use the lash fibers to give you
Yeah,
that full lash effect. Because a lot of people, I think, I'm not sure. Mary Kay might even do them like false lashes, but they're
mm,
really, really expensive. Even the ones in the high street,
yeah,
the false lashes, and you can only use them once, and then throw them away, and so that it turns out to be really expensive. Whereas with
mm,
the lash extension kit, it lasts a long time, and it is, it's worth the money as well. So yeah,
yeah. That
good.
sounds good. I
Mm,
like the sound of that. So it's like little fibers, because
mm.
I've got very short lashes, and something like that's nice. You can, it's not something you stuck on. I couldn't bear to have this lash sticking on my eyelid.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the sound of that, actually. Oh yeah, let me have a look. I want to see. And yeah,
Okay, fantastic. So, finally, so what message would you like to say to the viewers, and what can they do to sort of spread the message of BLM? We spoke about how we should contact right to makeup companies, and to let them know that they should cater for everyone. But what
mm.
else can they do?
I think in light of the BLM right now, and as you posted and you've spoken to me about, it's not just for now. It's not just supporting a black business. Well, I've done my bit. Um, it is really, I think, ultimately, it's got to come down to legislation.
Mm,
Okay, I think it's got to come down to legislation. So we want to, in our own way, recognise where things need to change and be a part of that change. And it could be anything small, you know, even if it's just signing a petition for something, being another voice, um, so that it doesn't all just fade off into the background.
mm,
Um, and learning a bit more, maybe going on to some of the podcasts where people of colour are talking, yes, you will get some people who are frustrated and may appear angry if you keep prodding, or people that have, when I say prodding, if you have this consistent stress, um, and not feeling that your life matters, and I'm not just talking about in a fatal way, which is unfortunate and it's horrible and it happens, has happened, we've all seen.
mm, mm,
And not just that, but there have been others, and it frightens you. And this, you think, could that be my son? Could that happen to my daughter? 'Cause I've seen young girls and things like that. It's all going on in the States, but then you think, there's been cases in the UK which haven't been broadcast, and I found out throughout this whole BLM uh, uprising again, which I think is here to stay. It's a bit more serious. We want to be heard, and I think legislation has to happen to make some changes, and on a smaller level, like, getting everything's basic basic equality, like
mm.
makeup,
Yeah.
on a bigger scale in schools. I saw a program. Here's something you can watch back on BBC iPlayer if anybody's not seen it already. The school that tried to end racism.
Oh,
I thought it was absolutely amazing the way they tackled the subjects with the children and helped to break it
mm.
down and make them understand. And I think we should all be able to break it down in that way and understand it.
And so that's on iPlayer.
BBC iPlayer,
BBC
school that
iPlayer.
tried to end racism. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
And I think
thank
they should have that in schools. I think
Yeah.
they actually should have these lessons in schools. We're living in
Oh,
a day and age where we're having to re-educate ourselves on that matter, and
mm,
it shouldn't have had to happen because it's
yeah.
got to this point now.
Mm,
People might feel it's a chore or it's why, or because that's once you have the understanding, then the whys go away.
mm,
Just
mm,
need to be open minded. Just be open
mm,
minded is what I'm saying, and
mm,
really listen. And please, we're looking at you as our brothers and sisters. We're all one race. I hate this, you know, this race and that race. And in the
mm,
one of the tasks, one of the activities in the school that wanted to end racism was that they did a DNA. We are 99.9% the same. I don't know what the 1% is. Maybe just the skin color. You know,
mm,
we're all one race. We
yeah.
are.
Mm,
And can you imagine? So if you dislike somebody because of the color of their skin, and you do awful things, you think awful things, you get angry because you don't like, they irritate you, or you tolerate them, and you're holding. I'm not saying you. I'm just speaking hypothetically.
mm,
Holding a lot of anguish, pain, inflammation, and sickness.
mm, mm,
It's not good.
no.
And we are holding a lot of fear, anxiety, pain. you know we we're doing it to each other. It's not good for us. And then to able to imagine, whew, it's like, for us, it's like watching. Imagine that you see your child falling, you go and see a child fall, and you have that feel it. We have that all the time.
Mm, mm,
My son's in his 30s. I still have my phone on 24/7 for both my children. My daughter's 21.
mm,
And it's more of I'm more concerned as a black mother. We all are for our children, but you
mm,
don't want to think that has something happened where maybe my son has got blamed for something, or had been in the middle of something, or because of the color of his skin he's been pulled in for something because he identifies with. Oh, it's not a nice feeling.
mm, mm,
Um, so I just, to put it in a nutshell, is just to have an open mind, maybe read some black literature, like the book I mentioned, The State of Africa, Martin Meredith. That's a very good book to read. Watch the school that tried to end racism as well. That's a good starting point. And support black business. Um, we should support small businesses, full stop, right? We've learned in this age now, in this COVID, small
mm,
businesses need supporting, because they're the small businesses are the ones that are bringing the services when the big people were shut down. And we were
mm,
doing what we could, whether it be online or opening distancing cafes or whatever,
mm,
takeaways and what have you, whatever was going on. Your local
mm.
man on the corner, support all of them.
And
Keep
also,
on top
it's
of
the big businesses will get government funding, whereas small businesses, if they've only been open for less than 3 years, they're not going to get any government funding. I mean,
I
they
didn't know.
feel very, okay, yeah, they have this furlough package for staff, and then also they try to sort of equal that with a self-employment package. But you have to tick all these boxes to even be eligible. So
Mm.
a lot of self-employed people or people who run small businesses are not eligible for anything at all. And yeah,
Wow.
so even they've had to kind of like rely on online sales, or just continuing to do what they're trying
And
to
that's why
do.
it's important to support them,
Absolutely,
keep supporting
absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
We don't know how long this is going to go on for, and the big store,
Mm,
no, we don't, if we know that it's still a danger, we don't all want to be queuing,
mm,
3 meters apart in a massive queue in Debenhams or John Lewis's. You go
mm,
online, support your, support your small businesses, keep them
yeah,
going. and they're local and local businesses at that, so you can
Yeah.
get things quickly. Like my next day service.
That is excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look to see if there's been any other questions. We did have a question earlier regarding regarding sea moss. So if anyone else watches this on replay, don't forget to put hashtag replay, and also you know, we'll be putting information. Carol will put her details about how you can get hold of her, and her website, and then also you have a YouTube channel as well. Do you, Carol?
Certainly do. Carol's Organic Kitchen on YouTube, and you will see me actually demonstrating how to prepare Caribbean and Irish sea moss.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll put all that information in the comments section as well. So thank you so much, Carol, for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been fun. Thank you very much for inviting me. And it was lovely catching up with you, Shabari. You're always a pleasure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you, and thank you also to the viewers at home. If you have any other questions as well, you know, please ask them in the comments section. And oh yes, just something popped up. Thanks for the book tip, The State of Africa. I learned a lot this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some other comments as well. Really interesting interview, amazing life journey, Carol. Thank you for sharing it.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. So yeah, it has been. Oh wow, and yeah, look at the time. We've been speaking for an hour and a half now. Yeah,
I think that's with our chemistry, you and I, Shabari. It's like, oh, you know, friends getting back together again, having a good old natter.
Absolutely, and as we mentioned to the viewers, that it's been exactly a year since I went over to Carol's to do her workshop. So this was like perfect timing. Full circle, yeah. Yeah. So sorry,
who would have thought the next time we meet we're going to be talking through
I know, who would have thought that this whole
pandemic
situation, I mean, nobody in this world ever anticipated actually that there would be this COVID situation, that there would be this coronavirus that is a pandemic, worldwide pandemic, and we would all be in lockdown, and it would you know.
Can you imagine if we'd have actually envisaged that a year ago? We were all laughing about, yeah, imagine if this happened. Oh my goodness, it would have been just surreal.
I would be like, what if? Because I was watching Contagion recently, and I probably shouldn't have, because it is quite a scary film actually, and but then I thought, oh my gosh, it's almost as though they had predicted the coronavirus, and yeah, that was really scary. It was really scary.
I've seen a similar film as well, and my jaw dropped. It was so eerily, you know, like what's going on now, isn't it? And there's a lot more of sort of films that have a subtle, you know, story to allude to this, but no, it's like seeing, you know, you buy a red car, you keep seeing red cars, so it might be something like that. So now it's like, oh, we're seeing all these movies related to what's happening now. Oh my god.
So yes, I guess this is going to be the new normal for quite some time. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. I know
a little while, but we will overcome and get through this, and we'll be back. Hey, you know, I don't know if you were around last July. I had a 5-year celebration of Carol's Organic Kitchen, my Big Fat Vegan Barbecue. Did you see it on that?
Yes. I wasn't able to go because I had an event. You did invite me, but I had
Yeah.
an event that particular day.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was
Well,
gutted that.
I'm envisaging this, manifesting that next year I'm going to have another Big Fat Vegan Barbecue. Planning for it to happen, and you've got to be there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Well,
this is not the new normal. We're going back to normal. Back to
we will.
barbecue, back to
We will.
life, back to reality.
Oh, well, thank you once again so much for being my guest. You know, it's like you know, it has been like you know, just like two friends chatting. You know, a year after we've kind of you know, we met at your again at your workshop, and you know, sort of reminiscing all about that. So thank you very much. And for the viewers who've been watching the whole time, thank you so much.
They've been with us the whole time. Mwah. Bless you. Been putting up with us exactly. Oh, thank you. That's really nice. That's nice to know.
Yeah. Oh, hello. I think we've just had another person just join us. Hi. So thank you very much for joining us. Whoever has just joined us. We're just going to about to finish the interview, but you can watch on replay. It will be on my Shabari's Tropic fan club. So you can watch the whole thing from start to finish. So next week, my guest is going to be medical herbalist Varsha Sonergy. So I'll be doing a post with you know, more information about that. Hello. I disappeared for a second. Yeah, so also if anyone wants to get hold of me as well, I will have my details in the comment section.
Oh,
yeah.
You've gone,
So
you went blank for a second.
Yeah, so thank you once again. Yes, there seems to be a problem with the connection, but thank you so much for joining us, those of you who've so joined us. And so I feel sorry.
It's been pleasant. It's been a pleasant evening, and it's been great catching up with you.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you again so much, Carol. And so we shall. Well, yeah, thank you. So we shall see each other again soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye everybody. Good night.
Bye everyone. Bye. Good night.